you want to focus on, especially, and if we're talking about cannabis brands right now, there are people out there playing on a different level, right? They're playing the traditional market. They're moving into markets when they're not even, when it's not legal yet, which is, that's the game, right? Now there's ways to potentially do that without, maybe risking, stuff. At the same time, I'm not saying I encourage that. I'm just, wink, wink. But you got to play it, on all levels, because you're going to get left in the dust. If you're trying to be a national brand, you got to play, you have to be competitive, right? And to be competitive, you have to be operating on the two different levels. Let's be real. Let's just keep it a buck. You have to be operating traditional and, legit, right? Traditional helps expand your brand's presence into new markets. The legal, a lot of times, it's really just to, lock down the market share in that, legal state, but you're not making a lot of money, right? You're making more money anyway. It could vary. It could really vary. It depends on the situation here. Right. Now, there's ways to get into new markets without doing that necessarily, right? We talked about, the secondary product, right? The secondary non-cannabis related product. There's clothing, there's accessories, there's technology, there's, different tech. It can reach different markets, right? So at the end of the day, right, there's different ways to reach these markets, but you got to start doing it, in my opinion, if you're trying to be a national brand. If you go on tour, let's say you go on tour, right? You do a tour of, let's say the South, right? You start in, California, you start in LA, you go all the way to Miami, and you stop along the way. Stop along the way, figure out, find, maybe if you have friends in the major cities, establish them, bring them a bunch of, this is where, like I said, I'm not saying I'm endorsing this strategy, but like I said, I'm giving you all a lot of game that no one really else is. Go from city to city. If let's say you got your mans in, like, you got Houston, New Orleans, whatever, a couple other big population centers. I'm not saying you bring them work. I'm not encouraging, to technically commit a federal crime at all. But bring them bags, bring them, swag, and drop that stuff off of it. Establish a brand ambassador, your homie in the big population centers. I'm not saying you bring work with you or anything necessarily, wink, wink, but that's what we're talking about here. Right? So that's how you can be effective with doing a tour. Right. And then you're starting to have a little presence, right, in that market. Okay. And there, like I said, there's also ways to get into these markets without, having to break the law. There's also the THCA stuff, which we're going to be getting into. I'm actually flying to Kansas City here on Monday. We're going to shoot the documentary this coming Monday. So keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes open for that. But THCA is great. That's one way where you can literally because the future of all this, guys, in my opinion, is you're going to have people ordering online, from across the country, and you're going to be able to, send them, a craft, eighth or craft, quarter that's, in the same region that, maybe you have a facility in each little region of the United States, and then let's say the marketing is really well done, and so you can connect with, somebody that's across the United States, and they'll be able to order it online. Right. That's, in my opinion, that's the future of this. And that's what THCA sets you up for, that infrastructure. Now, there is a lot of, who knows if THCA is going to hold up or not. There's states like Tennessee, other states like Ohio that are looking at banning it. Right. And by the way, THCA, guys, is literally just regular cannabis. Don't think it's different. It's just been under 0.03 THC, right? But it's like 30% THCA. Anyway, that's for a whole documentary. Yeah, that's different. Okay, so like I said, and also watch my old videos. Watch my videos, guys, because if you were trying to learn about how to market, watch my videos, because really a lot of them, especially the early on ones, they're case studies that are examining brands and how they're successful. Another way that, like, for example, like a celebrity cannabis brand, because celebrity cannabis brands don't really do well, but a strategy for the secondary kind of product that's non-cannabis related, is Seth Rogen's, houseplant, right? They're selling fucking like pottery that he made for $1,000. Anyway, I don't want to go all down that rabbit hole, but go watch that video and explain like exactly what I mean by that. Probably doesn't make sense, if you're just listening like just now about that, but go check it out. It'll make sense. Make sure you're locking down. Obviously, you want to lock down your trademarks. You want to start with all of the big states. Like I said, focus on population centers. The more people, the better, right? The more, it's way easier to build a following, build a brand, build that tribe of people in big population centers, right? I'm from Seattle, Washington. Seattle's it's one of the smaller cities, right? We still got like 5 million people in like the greater Seattle, Washington, Seattle area. I think it's like 1 million, 2 million in the city or whatever. But it's not compared to, like, for example, California, which has got what, 44, 45 million people, right? It's not like New York where it's got what, 25, 30 million. Like the city alone's got like what, 10, 15 million people. It's just way easier to build a movement in those big population centers. And you have to realize this is a movement. The brand represents ideals. It's consistently represented. And you are trying to bring more people onto your movement, right? Think about it like that. But yeah, man, then make sure you protect all that, right? You want to get patents if you have some inventions. You want to make sure you're getting trademarks. You want to make sure that, that's all getting locked down. You want to make sure you're locking down your social media handles, the domains. You want to file typically for a trademark. You want to file, for the, a class, the clothing class, and then also the smoking articles class as well. Okay, let's keep going. We're gonna wrap this up here pretty soon. We've got a few more to go. Where are we going? Come on. Why is this tripping up? Okay. There's certain brands too that are set up well for collaborations, right? Okay, now we already addressed the packaging, but packaging, you want to have it stand out. You want to have it be different. There's a strategy that people utilize. I don't necessarily think it's a good one. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like people get mad when you kind of say the strategy, honestly. And I'm not saying you should do it, but what people will do is and you really shouldn't do this with, for example, carts. If you haven't seen the Dink Vapes video I did, go watch that one. That will make sense what I mean by that. But for example, flour, right? All of these fake cookies bags everywhere, all these fake Backpack Boys bags. I mean, I'm not saying that they were the ones that necessarily planted all of those fake bags, but I think nowadays there's brands out there that will print an excess amount of bags and then they'll sell them to